Lying between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, and forming the southwestern tip of Europe, is the Iberian Peninsula, walled off from the rest of the continent by the rugged barrier of the Pyrenees, and separated from Africa only by the narrow Strait of Gibraltar. The dominant physical feature is a high central plateau, the meseta, fringed by lowlands along the coast. Two countries share the peninsula, Spain and Portugal. Spain a population of 28 millions and Portugal 8 millions. The greater part of the peninsula's inhabitants depend directly upon the soil for a livelihood. 3/4 of the population live in rural areas, such as this village on a mountain in southern Spain. Only 3 cities have a population of more than 1 million: Madrid, Barcelona, and Lisbon. Other large cities are Valencia, Seville, and of those who seek a living from the land, farm with crude implements in the way that generations of Spanish farmers have done before them. Most of the farmland lies on the central meseta, which is crossed by several mountain ranges. Rainfall is meager and spasmodic. Large sections of the plateau are wasteland. But where less arid, the soil may support enough vegetation to graze the sheep that provide wool for Spain's textile mills. Where there is greater rainfall and the soil is fertile, the land is tilled for growing wheat and barley. Here, agricultural custom changes slowly. The sickle is still used to cut the crops. Harvesting and threshing are carried on by the same laborious methods of centuries ago. The grain is freed from the husks by the hooves of the animals and the drags they pull over the stalks. In the peninsula's semi-arid regions, the cork oak grows. The thick outer bark that enables the tree to withstand drought is stripped off every 8 to 10 years. On the slopes down from the central plateau, great groves of olive trees are planted. From Spain comes nearly a half of the world's olive oil. The fruit intended for oil production is gathered before it's fully ripe. Apparatus for expressing oil varies from the most primitive to modern machinery. In this channel, the olives are cut and broken up on their way to the mill, where they're crushed into a pulp by huge rollers. Presses squeeze out the oil, which is a staple in the national diet and a major export. The grape harvests from the vineyards provide another export, wines to all parts of the world. It is the wine taster's task to assess the quality of the vintage. Rainfall is heaviest in Galicia, the lowlands of the northeast corner of the peninsula. Here, even maize, which requires much moisture, can be grown on the rich but limited areas of arable land. The coastal lowlands of the south and east are narrow and interrupted, but the cultivation of special crops is made possible by a subtropical climate and an irrigation system introduced by the Moors hundreds of years ago. Primitive devices to carry water from one level to another help to make fertile land otherwise lost to cultivation. Thus, water is brought into the sugar beet fields. Due to irrigation, oranges and other subtropical fruit can be grown in the coastal regions. Here too flourish some of the famed and beautiful gardens of Spain. In the coastal towns, the fish markets are evidence of an old industry in the peninsula. The surrounding waters yield rich catches of sardine, tuna and anchovy for domestic food and for export. Tile making is an old established trade in Spain and Portugal. It is a craft made possible by the peninsula's large clay deposits and was introduced originally by the Moors. The Moors have left their influence on Spanish culture, especially in architecture. A masterpiece of Moorish art is the ornate and historic Alhambra. Iron ore is found in the north, and in the coastal mountains nearby, coal, inadequate, however, for even domestic needs. In the south are found copper, lead, and the world's largest deposit of mercury, a valuable export. Most of the iron ore is exported. The ship's cargo is leaving Bilbao for England, there to be made into iron and steel. The peninsula's limited supplies of coal would allow only a very restricted iron and steel industry. Spain depends upon immense imports of coal from Great Britain to sustain her iron foundries and allied industries. In so dry a country, water power resources are slight, but water power has been harnessed for industrial use at this modern hydroelectric plant. And in several parts of Spain, similar projects are under construction. Power from these generators flows over transmission lines to the nearby industrial city of Barcelona. Here it drives the looms of Barcelona's textile mills. Though raw cotton must be imported, the domestic market for cheap goods makes textiles the most important Spanish industry. But the national economy is based upon agriculture. In this land, not too well favored by nature, most of the people must wrest a livelihood from the soil. The Iberian Peninsula seems in many parts still untouched by the impact of industrial civilization.